Everyone, just want to share a quick reminder. On May 27th until the 29th is the Charlottesville Arts Festival. It's a whole weekend event, and I'm very excited to be coming back to Charlottesville. This will be my first weekend festival ever, so that's really exciting. And also that Saturday and Sunday, I will be doing demos throughout those days. So if you're looking for something fun to do, gather up your friends, your family, and submerge yourselves within this great art community, which is in Charlottesville. Okay, and I hope to see you guys there. Again, mark your calendars for May 27th until the 29th. Spread the word. Let's support the arts, and let's go. So then Saturday night, Nicole and I, we go out to eat, and then we went to see Annie Letterman perform at Sandman. The show was great. She fucking killed it. It was hilarious. The comic that opened for her, I'm sort of in talks with having him on the show because he was hilarious. Kevin Dombrowski. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it right now. I'm just trying to be careful, but funny as hell. So check him out. Actually, before we officially start, before I do a live introduction, I do want to mention you and I have a mutual friend who is a comic, Jason Oxhorn. Ring a bell?
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. He and I went to the same high school, but he was a grade above me. But I guess he caught one of my posts about seeing you and Annie at Sandman, and he reached out and mentioned that you sort of helped him out throughout his stand up.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what's up. That's pretty cool. I've been a bit fan of comedy overall, but it really hasn't been until recently I really started appreciating it more as an art form more than entertainment. Like I grew up just knowing it as entertainment, and not really, remembering all the comics names. Like everyone, I just knew people as just them being funny.
Right.
Now realizing how many killer comics are out there, and just learning about the grind through all these podcasts that I listen to. So it's pretty crazy, and I don't know. I personally find a lot of things relatable, even just speaking as an artist. I feel like there's a lot of correlations in terms of just like how we feel about our craft, and a lot of the I say like insecurities that kind of go behind our our work when we're kind of putting it out there in a sense. So I've been wanting to just feature more comics on my podcast, and even though it is a different thing, but it's still, I mean, I say it's an underappreciated art form.
Sure.
Rather than just like saying shit for laughs. It's like, man, when you get down to the writing aspect of it, it's like, oh shit, this is and I hate writing personally.
Right.
So I respect it even more. So especially when you're really trying to fine tune bits and all that. So it's like, it's like mad respect, especially putting yourself out there. It's you against, well, it's not necessarily you versus the crowd. Well, I mean, in certain scenarios, right?
Right.
Depending on the crowd.
That's fair.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Rated G. I'm your host, G. Terado. And if you are new here, tuning into the show, welcome to the podcast. This is generally where I sit down with other artists and creators and creative entrepreneurs, and we just sit down and share our honest perspectives and our love for the craft that we pursue, and turning it into a business and making a living out of it, because we learned through conversation that there are a lot of things that we all relate to. So if if you enjoy this content, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you can keep up with all the current releases, whether you're tuning in on podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, or actually watching on YouTube. Again, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like, share, all that good jazz to get me out in that algorithm. That's just how things are now. But yeah, and if you are tuning back in, welcome back, and thank you for your continued support. And again, just keep sharing the podcast with other like-minded individuals that enjoy this type of stuff. And check out the show descriptions. I always provide links that will lead you to our active platforms, social media, all that stuff, for myself and my featured guests. All right. So speaking of guests, this is a very special one because lately I've been talking about my love and appreciation for comedy. So I have this chance to sit down with another comic who I had the pleasure in seeing here in Richmond at the Sandman Comedy Club. Fucking hilarious, and there was a lot of stuff in his material that I really related to. But please welcome for the first time stand-up comedian and host of podcast Just Joking, Kevin Dombrowski.
I like that you clap for yourself in there. That's made the live element feel real.
I try to do the best I can, under these circumstances.
No, you're doing it, man. You're baby stepping, you're getting the steps done.
I'm trying. And you know what? I come from a multimedia I majored in animation and media arts, so I like doing video editing and stuff like that.
Sure.
So like if you see any of the rated G content, depending on the content, sometimes I throw in sound effects. I try to make it somewhat fun. You could kind of, I'll say this because I've mentioned him multiple times, but Rick Glassman, the way he kind of does his content, I'm a fan of that. I wish I could have that, the time and all that to have animations done. Like I would love to go back into animation, but that's besides the point.
Nice.
But yeah, man, thank you so much for joining me. Being a father and a husband and a comic and just, putting out the grind. You're also running your own podcast. So I'm
sure. All of that in sequential order. Father, husband, comic, runner of podcast.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Gearing up to this, I was a little nervous,
don't be nervous. Stop it. Just ask your questions. Let's get into it. Don't be nervous. There's nothing to be nervous about. We're both in the only rooms that our significant others would let us in. So let's not pretend like it's anything more than that, and let's just get to the interview.
Yes, yeah. My wife is in the other room watching the new episodes of Outlander.
Oh, nice. My wife is putting the baby down, and we'll probably watch a murder documentary.
Oh, what title? Which one? There's like a million.
Oh God, I don't know. I survived the most brutal thing in the world, only to tell you in a documentary so you can tell your husband and he's uncomfortable hearing it. That's what everyone should be called. It should just be called "Tell Your Husband This" as he goes, "I don't want to talk about this stuff."
Well, no, the reason why I said I was nervous is because I did listen to your recent episode of Just Joking with I'm terrible with names, but you had this guy that has been doing a lot of writing. It's so funny how much talent is out there, but behind the scenes.
Are you talking about Dave Cyrus, the last one?
That wrote for Pete Davidson?
Yeah. Dave Cyrus is Pete Davidson's writing partner.
Yeah, and it's Yeah, it's incredible. Like some of the names you've had on your podcast.
Yeah, we've been really lucky. I'm really sorry that you got me because we've been really lucky on my podcast.
Well, nah, man, this is cool, bro. Like,
I'm just joking.
I mean, like I said, a lot of your material when I saw you at Sandman resonated with me because I'm kind of in that position where, you know, my wife is the breadwinner.
Sure.
And my way of sort of finding comfort in that instead of like, yeah, she's the breadwinner, but I make the sandwiches.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. That's a good joke. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking at your artwork behind you. Someone would have to be more successful. No, I'm joking. No, you're really good, dude. That's awesome. The stuff behind you is really good. Yeah, look, I am married to a more successful woman. I don't know if you're watching, you can tell by my background. This is not podcast money. No, I'm married to a more successful woman. My wife is incredibly successful, and I like it. It's really noble. She worked her way to the top and then slept her way to the bottom. So it's it works for us.
Yeah, my my buddies that I grew up with, especially like my brown friends, are like, oh man, you're living the dream.
That's hilarious. Dude, to say especially my brown friends is such a funny context to do that with.
Yeah, I still have a lot of growing up to do.
No. Don't stop saying that. Because that's a fact. That's something. I grew up as the white kid. I was the white guy. I was the token white guy.
Yeah.
So that stuff is super funny to me. I was just talking to, actually, she's going to be in your neighborhood the weekend of June 8th, Gina Brion.
Okay.
Go see her at Sandman if you get the chance. It might be
June 8th.
Like June 8th, June 9th, somewhere around that weekend. Gina Brion, she hit the finals of America's Got Talent. She's one of my best friends in comedy, and I go on the road with her sometimes. And we were at the Comedy Cellar the other night having food, and she said something that was bothering her, and she goes, I don't do that fuck shit. And I started laughing, and she goes, that's why I like you. There's not a lot of fuck shit with you. And I go, there's a little bit of shit fuck. That's fuck shit is one thing. Fuck shit is a noun. It could be a verb. Stop the fuck shit. That type of stuff. But shit fuck is two separate incidents. That's shit fuck is like stubbing your toe and then hitting your head on your way down to help your toe. So we were talking about that. And I don't know how we even got on the subject, but she was like, you know what I like about you is that you're like a white guy, but you're not really a white guy. She said, you are what we in the hood call a down ass white boy. And I laughed so fucking hard at that. But it's true, man. Like I started in what the mainstream comedy calls urban rooms, but it was just black rooms. I started in Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was the white guy. And then I hopped into New York. And while I was coming up in the mainstream clubs, I'd go on the road to Laugh House in Philly, LAFF. That tells you that tells you that. You know, it's like an urban club on South Street in Philly. Two Ray Gordon started there. Kevin Hart started there. Two Ray took me under his wing a little bit and helped me out. And I did a weekend there with him. And then I did I did a Baptist church in Delaware with this comic named Lawrence Owens. He's from DC, and he was with me on the Two Ray weekend. And he was like, I got to have you at my show in Delaware. And he gave me the address, and he gave me no other details other than that. And I was so brand new. I was so excited to be on the road. And I pulled up, and it was a Baptist church. And I went, what the fuck? Ooh. And I went inside, and I was the only white dude. And there were three comics on the show. I love that I said I'm the only white dude, and I just went like that. That's fucking hilarious. I mean, there are three comics. That's just how I say three, by the way, with my hands. There was no pun intended there. That's fucking hilarious. Oh, God. I'm going to get eaten up on YouTube for that. There were three. I don't know how else to do it. Comics. The show started at 9 and it ended at 1 in the morning. And there were only 3 comics on the show. That's how he did like 20 minutes in between each act. And I say this whole story to say I got up and I did way better than I thought I would. And then I got off stage and he goes, look, some people some people try really hard and it's just not their night after I performed. And he just basically like convinced the crowd that I just like bombed. And he was like, but give it up for him for trying. So those are the rooms I came up in. And so when you say something like especially my brown friends are like, you made it, it's so funny because I do think that some white people take that for granted. And it's like a source of shame for like an older white man to not be the breadwinner in his household. But for me, my perspective and point of view, especially with my comedy, is I try to flip it on its head, where it's a different time growing up and being a parent now than it was when I was a kid. So things are different. It's did I do the therapy joke when at the show that you came to where I was talking about I'm afraid to be naked in front of my kid?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that tells you right there is I'm trying to change things where it's like I'm too aware of how fucked up I am as someone's kid, and then trying to parent, you overcorrect everything. Not getting change around my daughter's an overcorrection that shouldn't happen. She's 1. There's nothing memorable about me under my clothes. I should be walking around, dick out 24/7. But I'm too aware of how fucked up I am, and I don't want to pass that on.
That's that's been like one of the things I worry about if chances were
right.
If those were in our cards, like
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think naturally you're like, fuck, what's the fucked up part I'm passing on?
Totally. Dude, there's an accountant in my head. I just rack up bills with everything I fuck up. It sucks. It's hard. It's really, really hard to be as aware as you are. And like, for as much as like the generations before us passed that mental illness on, at least they weren't aware of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really their fault. It's their fault because we get it from them, but it's not their fault because they couldn't do anything. Now we do something about everything. And now there's an overcorrecting that's happening that needs to be addressed too.
Yeah. And that's just the thing though, too. Growing up, so you were in Bloomfield when you started.
Yeah.
So are you familiar with I mean, some people are in that area, some people aren't, but Wanacue, does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I know
so
Wanacue.
I'm from Haskell, Wanacue. Very small ass town.
Sure.
But in those areas, like, we had, whether Black, Spanish, Asian, whatever, like we always had a mix. I just say mixed bag of friends.
Right.
You never know. And even themselves were a mix of something. And like even I had white friends too, and guaranteed, like, it's so funny because one of them is married to a Dominican and the other one, I think I think she's white. But but it's still, there's like, we grew up in like with different cultures, so
right.
It's nothing. But now living here in Richmond for me is a lot different because I'm like, and I just do it for like shits and giggles, honestly. But I play the race card a lot when I have the chance.
Sure, why wouldn't you?
If I'm so when I'm singled out, I'm like, oh, all right, so this is the situation today.
Yeah. I play the race card, and I don't even have a race card. Actually, here's how you can tell if you're not sure if she's white, bring her to a restaurant and see how she acts around the manager. That's a surefire way to see if she's white or not. If she if she lifts up a finger when a manager walks by, that's probably a white girl.
Oh my God. I never thought about that. Also, me and my wife been together for a long time. And my favorite story, this is what we were still dating. Like, we've dated for a long fucking time. So we're married now for been about 3 years. We've been dating for like 15 and change. Like,
oh wow.
Change. Yeah, we're high school sweethearts. But so it was the first time I was having Thanksgiving with her relatives in Pittsburgh, and her grandmother was there, and she had known me earlier in our dating relationship, so she had met me before. Uh, so we're at the dinner table, and they had lasagna, and they're passing the dishes around, and she's standing, and she like hunches over. She's like, "Gee, we're having lasagna. Do you know what that is?" I just stared at I stared at everybody, and I'm like, "Yeah."
That's so funny. What's your ethnic back? Can I guess?
Yeah,
Are
do
you
it. Yeah.
okay? You got a Filipino thing happening for yourself. You're
Yeah.
Filipino? Okay, yeah, I had a feeling.
Now, what gave you that you know, what gave it
Uh,
away?
I honestly, your facial features,
Okay.
and I guess it sounds so fun. I hate that this is a
Do it,
thing.
man, because I need to hear it, because sometimes I don't know what kind of vibes I get.
No, no, no. It's your skin tone and it's your
Yeah.
facial features.
Nose.
I know a lot of Filipino guys, and you got that. It's actually not in. It's like the eyebrows into the cheeks too. You kind of got a Manny Pacquiao thing going on.
I always take that compliment, because I somewhat often get that,
Yeah,
especially when I used to go to when I used to go to the gym in Bloomfield,
right.
Powerhouse Gym. They had a boxing room, so I would hit the bag for a little bit, and anytime someone was in there or catching me hitting the bag, they're like, "Yo, Pacquiao's hitting the bag today."
You do. No, you gotta. It's from right above the eyes into the cheeks.
Yeah,
You got a Manny thing going on.
that's funny.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Hell yeah.
Because when people find out my age too, they're like, "Oh shit, really?"
How old are you?
I'm 35, but I've
Okay.
been mistaken for like mid 20s.
Sure, sure.
Someone that was I was working with that was 22 thought I was like close to his age, and he's like, "The scruff makes it look." I'm like, "The scruff, I look young." Like, dude, you don't even know.
That's so funny. I get mistaken for people's grandfathers all the time.
What?
No,
Really?
I'm joking.
What is that? What the fuck? But no, man, it's true though. Like with like kind of like going back to the race thing and whatever. It's just, yeah, man. I mean, more power to you being a father, especially during these days with all this stuff. Cause like I can't, I don't know, just I have issues like just reprogramming my mind,
Sure.
so like, my age now, like I'm a 90s kid. I'm not that far off on how, like, and I have older siblings too. I'm the youngest out of four.
Mm,
So I kind of grew up with a lot of their upbringings too, in terms of like what
right.
they listened to, what they watched, all that stuff. Like I got into Def Jam comedy because my older siblings, but I mean, I was definitely just a little too young to like really realize like, oh, that was Chris Tucker back then, and
Oh yeah.
Martin and Jamie Foxx, all the Wayans.
Right. For me, it was In Living Color.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked In Living Color more than I liked SNL.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, the relating to the Jim Carrey situation of him being like the white guy in the cast, and then later on, I toured with Carlos Mencia for a lot of my career. I was the white guy on tour, so I totally like relate to that fish out of water type scenario that he had on the show, especially. And then it was Chris Rock for me. I grew up listening to, which is funny because I'm like the total opposite of what he is on stage.
Yeah.
Except for when people hit me. We're the same.
Yo, that shit. Oh
Crazy, right?
So I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because I'm wondering now. Before I ask, this Will Smith question, do you follow UFC at all?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm more of an old school boxing guy. I grew up watching the welterweights of Mayweather, Pacquiao, Ricky Hatton. That whole generation of when welterweights were heavyweights. I grew up watching that.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked is something rather similar to the Dave Chappelle, storming the stage happened at UFC this past weekend.
Oh, really?
This girl tried to storm up to the octagon, and as soon as she like got nearby the I guess like the security guard or whoever, I don't know if it was a female or a male. I don't want to make any assumptions,
Sure.
right? But they just fucking shoved her right off. It was amazing.
Well, look, here's the thing. If that guard doesn't do that, that guard doesn't have a job. And that guard can't think, is that a guy or a girl? You got to think weapon, no weapon, dangerous, not dangerous. It's my job to protect these people's lives.
Yeah.
So at that moment, it's like you're risking it on your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
going up there
That's
in that situation is like, what do you think is going to happen?
Exactly. That was what I was getting to. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get like, you really like what was the end game besides
Right.
virality at this point?
Sure.
Your friend is clearly supporting this and filming it. So, I mean, if that was the point, then good for her. But like, I don't know. But my initial question was, do you think this whole Will Smith thing and the Dave Chappelle thing, is this opening a door for people that would consider, regardless of the repercussions, storming the stage for whatever reasons, even like the hecklers at clubs, bars?
So it's an interesting thing because yes and no.
Okay.
People that would do this and would think to do this are going to do it more because other people are doing it. So there's that. So if this is already in your head and people are doing it, then sure. I think, whenever you see someone else that thinks like you, you're more inclined to do what you're going to do. But if you're not inclined to do this, I don't think it's going to radicalize, quote unquote, people into storming stages. I've never been afraid on stage. I've seen 2 brawls break out in a show. Actually, it was funny. I was opening for Jim Florentine, and it was like North Jersey people versus like metal people. And they were just like fighting in front of us while the other guy was on stage. And I went up to Florentine and I go, you want me to say anything when I bring you up? Just like, I got to bring you right up right after the fight, just like busting his balls. And then I was telling Mencia about that in Maryland. And the next show, 2 tables started fighting each other after I told them that story, that original story. That was pretty funny. I think I saw one other fight in New York. Yeah, I did. I was at Broadway Comedy Club and someone heckled and another person didn't like it and they started fighting. And I stayed on stage and I was like, oh no, please don't fight. Oh God, what's going to happen? I just talked through it. I don't care anymore about what happened. So I was just like, just leave or don't leave. I've made widows cry. When I started, I mean, I've made every mistake on stage that you can make. I've had people in the middle of me saying a joke tell me I suck. I'd go to say the punch, the guy went, "You suck," just in the middle of it.
Oh my God.
So it's like I've never feared that someone was going to run up on stage, and I think if someone ran up on stage, I think the New York would come out of me, and I would instinctually, like if shit got real, I'd just drop the mic and go at it. Like, what are you gonna do? You hold your ground at that point. But I've never, even after it happened, I'm performing. I perform almost every night in New York City, so it's like I didn't expect. I wasn't like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen tonight. There's security at good clubs and shit like that doesn't really fucking happen. It's, it's like of course someone would attack Chappelle because he's filming a Netflix special. And if you want to do that, why wouldn't you do that in the biggest stage to get the most attention? That type of shit. I'll tell you what he underestimated was the amount of people's rent that Dave pays, because that motherfucker got jumped. on stage. He tried to tackle Chappelle, and about 15 people.
Yeah.
And I saw someone
And
said,
you can see it in the background too, which is hilarious.
oh God. Someone said they took off his right arm and put on another left arm. He just, oh, dude.
Dude, that picture.
Oh my God.
Like,
you look, when you're attacking, you're attacking a payroll company when you attack Dave Chappelle. You know how many people make a living off of Dave Chappelle? Jesus Christ. I mean, even back in the day when I was with Mencia a lot, I was like low man on the totem pole, and I always took like security, like a security perspective. I was always looking at who was around him, who could do what, if someone doesn't like him, what are they going to do? And, he's my mentor, and he's a really good friend of mine. So it's not even from the paycheck perspective. It's more like, okay, we're going out in public. This is a high profile guy. And, if someone doesn't like him and they go up to him, I'm always the first to, go up and be like, what's up? Everything good? Just checking in type stuff. So I don't think it's going to happen more regularly to regular situations, but I think you bring up a good point. If someone wanted to do this might give them more of a green light, because you have more than just the insane thoughts in your head thinking about doing this if you see someone else do it. But I'm not. If you're afraid of this happening in comedy, you were probably already afraid of something happening to you on stage.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, I'm kind of like generalizing, but I mean, shit happens all the time.
Totally.
Right? But
Totally.
we just now have these tools to really hyper focus on like that particular moment, or that most recent moment. So, I mean, again, like who am I to like say, but I always make the assumption like, yeah, guys, like I'm sure this shit happens more often than we even realize.
Sure.
Before social media, or like, recording everything.
Oh, I mean, dude, there's like legendary stories of your favorite comics getting into fist fights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I've one of my good buddies, his name is Gino Bisconti. He's a pretty edgy comic, and he kind of lives to push buttons. And I've personally gotten involved 3 times with people wanting to fight him over the years. But it's weird. It's a weird situation, because then you have, look, when you have, and I hate saying female comic, and I'm only saying it for the fact that it is a female. If you have a female comic going out on the road and she's by herself, that's also a scary thing, man.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
It's like
their fears of.
Yeah, it's a different story when you have a female comic by herself. She's in a strange town. She doesn't know anyone there. It's like, I'm sure there's an added element. It's already a stressful position to be in. I would imagine that fear is kind of, already there. And now that shit like that is happening a little bit more, that's probably a more stressful situation. I would imagine. I'm just like, I grew up the son of a cop. I don't know if you could tell, as a bald white man. But
I was Filipino. My dad was.
I grew up looking at what's going to happen in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I still go out to lunch with my dad. I go out to lunch with him every week with my daughter, and he never sits with his back to the wall, or his back to the door. He always sits with his back to the wall.
Get that.
It's just that it's that kind of mentality. And I actually thought I was going to be a cop growing up, even though I wanted to be a comic. And I changed my major in college. I was a criminal justice major, and I knew everything about it, and I hated the way it made me look at people. And so I switched, and then I fell into music for a little bit. Okay. And after I got laid off, I finally was like, enough's enough. Let's go after something you want to go after. So it was like the first time in my life I didn't think I'd be a cop, and I had no direction, that I finally started pursuing what I've always really wanted to do, was do stand up. I've always been, the funny kid. I was small, so I didn't I had humor to diffuse the shit, but it wasn't until I got like bigger in high school that I became kind of the smart ass. And then from there on, it just kind of grew as my personality grew and my perspective and everything like that. So I'm always cautious and suspicious of shit that's going on. Plus, I grew up right outside New York City, and you know how it is. It's like you're always looking at like, all right, what the fuck is going to happen next?
Dude, now I've been vogue about that, especially last, like, because we've been living here like a year and a half, just about. And I've been talking about that often on this podcast, because yeah, like I've like immediately I realized, like, damn, I always feel like I have my guard up, even, like cashiers just being nice,
Totally.
like genuinely nice, be like, oh, like, how you doing, and I'm just like,
right
already like, why?
It's so funny. My grandfather lived outside of Atlanta my whole life, so we would go down to Georgia and you get like real southern hospitality. And it was always me, my mom, and my brother, and we would laugh because we'd go to the grocery store and they'd be like, "How you doing today?" And you're like, "How the fuck are you doing?" Like fine. Get away from, like, ring up my shit so I can leave. Like, what are we doing?
Yes. And the driving is very evident, like, it you can, like, at least for me, when we're visiting Jersey,
Yeah.
as we leave the Virginia area, you can already tell the difference of the pace, the driving pace.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God. And it's just so funny. Like, it's weird. Like, when I'm here, I'm like, I praise the way I drove in Jersey. But then in Jersey, I'm just like, oh fuck, I'm not just another asshole like me on the road.
Yeah. My wife told me the other day that I should have been a New York City cab driver. And it was like the sweetest thing anyone's ever said to me. It was like, it was like one of the biggest compliments I've ever had.
Oh man, yeah, my wife, she has really bad road rage, and it definitely, it shows a lot more when we're around. Actually, no, she's adjusted, but when it comes out, it's like, oh damn, all right, it's coming back.
Yeah. It's like it's so true. I was thinking about this the other day. There's no one that drives better than the person that's trying to catch up with someone to give them the finger.
Yo.
It's
Oh my God, dude.
it's like you become a race car driver just to flip someone off. You know what I mean?
That guy, dude.
Me too.
That fucking guy. It's so funny you said that, because not long, like a few days ago, it was actually a New York driver too. I saw the plate and I'm like, oh, this is why you drive the way you do.
Yeah.
And he was being a douchebag, cut me off, no blinkers, and I'm kind of a stickler with blinkers, like,
Yeah. I'm saying.
And this is happening fast in the fast lane, so cuts me off. I'm like, oh, this fucking asshole. And then I am I'm petty enough to drive around, catch up to them so I can just get a quick acknowledgement, and then either speed up, or like I'll go into the slow lane and just drive around everybody. And then he sees me cut into his lane like a car or two ahead of him. And we did that. We actually, it was like, it went on for like a hot second, to the point I'm like, oh, I hope there's like no cops around. That's how long we were doing this on the road. And thankfully, I don't condone this for anyone that's like tuning in, but I was like, thankfully no one got hurt. This was like in this new car that I just got also. So I was really like,
let me be the devil on the shoulder. I wish he had gotten hurt. No,
you know what? Yeah. If we didn't do this podcast, it's because
No, I'm that guy that if nothing feels better than when someone cuts you off and you catch up and they look over at you giving them the finger, it's so satisfying. And I turn into like an Indy 500 racer when someone cuts me off. Dude, I could just be completely relaxed and whatever. It's like 2 and 10 on the steering wheel, and I'm just weaving in and out of cars like a hot pursuit just to flip someone off. I'm a complete animal. I'm an animal.
It was actually fun that I like to do. And like this, this hasn't happened in a while, but I happen to do it when my wife's with me. But when someone cuts us off, and then I do my thing, I catch up to them, I find an opening where I can cut them up. But as I'm passing them, I'll do one of these.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. That would piss me off so bad.
I know.
If someone scolded me with their finger like my father, it would fucking
I would do it in the rearview mirror if they're like really on my
that's hilarious. That's so dismissive. It's so irritating.
I know.
That's really funny.
I'm a jackass. What can I say? Oh man, but it's and it's just and then my imagination just runs along with that. It's like, yeah, I did that. I wonder if they're really pissed off. If they're gonna tell their friends about it.
That's
like,
so
who gives
funny.
a shit? But I don't know.
I have a joke on my first album about how my wife is from California and I'm from New York, and the difference in the road rage and how we are. And it's inspired by, I was on the road and someone cut me off, and I found myself following them, and I considered taking an exit that I didn't have to go to. And then I thought, like, how funny would it be if I follow this guy and he's just like going to a family reunion or something like that? And it just started going. And so like there's a whole section on I have an album out called High on Molly. And I think it's New York, California. I forget what the joke is called, but it's basically that, where it was like if someone, like, I'll follow you to a family reunion just to show you how much you pissed me off.
Oh my god. Yeah, remember when like the blinkers was like a thing? Like if you flashed your headlights, that was like a sign for like
that's a warning shot. That's real. That's you flick it. It's actually in the joke, ironically. I flash my lights and I give them a warning shot, let them know that we have problems, and if they cut me off really bad, I hold them down. Because if they hit the car, if you blind them and they hit the car in front of them, that's 2 cars out of your way.
I just remember my dad telling me about it. He'd be like, "Oh man, just watch out for this." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Who the fuck is flashing their lights? That's also my initial reaction. Who the fuck is flashing their lights?
I flash my lights like they're weapons. You know what I mean? I really do. like yeah. That's like that's the aggression sometimes I flash it with my middle finger.
Damn. No, that's wild. I guess that shit still goes on then, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's unfortunate. Speaking of California, what I hear this often, and because I listen to a lot of comedian podcasts, and it's often mentioned, or maybe just as of late, I hear about this like New York, LA comics. Like, I don't know. That's I don't want to say it's like New York versus LA comics, but there is like this sense of like 2 separate camps in the comedy in the stand-up community.
Right. Yeah, it's just it's the environment, it's a scene. LA is it's very showy. There's a lot of act outs, and it's like a big performance type thing. And look, it's like that with LA rap. LA rap is said the South wants to dance and New York wants to talk. New Yorkers, it's like we're so used to 5-6 shows in a night, just like doing what we have to do to get to the next one and the next one and this and this and this. It's like everything's very concise, we're very efficient on stage, because you have to be, because there's 10,000 other comics that want your spot. So it brings out that realness. Look, they're each good in their own way, depending on what you want. I like New York because I like that there's it's like a lack of a show business environment, and I dig that. It's really, and this is just my perspective. I love doing stand up. I really do, but I don't like the attention off stage. You know, I love if someone comes up to me, like that's how you and I met. Like if someone comes up to me after the show and compliments a set, or they like this or like that, like I love that. But I have a very hard time dealing with attention off stage, because I'm just like I don't know, I'm a real guy. To me, it's a job. It's the most fulfilling job I could have, and I love doing it. But I don't want that show business aspect of it. So New York fits really well with my vibe. It's a job. It's a really good job. I love doing it. I'm good at it, and I work a lot. And that's kind of I don't know. It's kind of where it ends for me. It's like I like entertaining people. I'm not looking to I don't know. I'm not looking to be that.
Start your own sitcom.
Yeah, I'm not looking to be that guy. You know, which is a weird thing to say. I'll do projects that I'm happy with and projects that I want to do. And you know, I'm writing my next hour. That'll be recorded this year. It's a lot of what you heard when I was at Sandman. And then I'll see what's up. You know, the podcast exists because I host a lot in New York City. And that's a showcase. It's just me with other comics riffing on headlines. So that showcases my hosting. My albums showcase my material, and so on and so forth. And, you know, I'm all about the live show. I love the live performing aspect. So LA for me it's too showy.
Yeah.
And
I was going to bring up even like social media. Everyone is essentially becoming it's almost like you have to sort of be a content creator on top of the true craft of what you're really wanting to do.
Well, that's the thing, is like I think what we've lost in stand-up is the ability to just say no if you want to. You know what I mean? It's like everyone does what works for everyone else, but we've lost the sight of being able to be like, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to do that, and it's okay. You know, it doesn't have to be like if you don't edit a clip, you're, you know, cast out of the industry type thing.
Yeah.
You know, look, it worked really well for Andrew Schultz.
Right.
I love Schultz. He's a great comic. And what he did worked really, really well for him. But it doesn't necessarily mean it could work for everyone. Yeah. I think what people should do, what comics should do, is find your thing that works for you, like he found the thing that works for him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I live. That's my realm of finding what works for me, what gels with me. I love talking about being a dad. I love talking about being married. I love talking about what my inner perspective of myself is. You know, my act is my perspective and how I view the world around me. And my jokes are whatever I'm going through at that moment is what I talk about. You know, obviously it's got to be funny. That's rule number one. It's got to be good. It can't be an easy joke. It's got to be a really good joke, and it's got to make sense and tell a story and resonate. And, you know, what I'm finding with the father material is it's connecting really hard. Even if you don't have kids, as you know, like you and I were talking about.
Yep.
It's a situation where two broke bitches. It's a situation of how you present yourself, and you become relatable to people that may not actually be in a relatable situation, or in a situation that you currently are in. You find a way to relate to them. You find a way to connect. That's what stand-up's all about. It's about the lowest common denominator is connection. If you're not connecting with your audience, you're just talking to them. You're not really talking with them. And you know, the best advice I've ever gotten in stand-up, and this is for anyone that's aspiring to do comedy, is know why you're funny, know why you're not funny. If you know why you're not funny, you can correct it. But if you know why you're funny, you can duplicate it. Think of the difference between that. It's a really powerful tool. Beyond that, you know, people aren't going to hear what jokes you have to tell. People are going to see you perform. So don't stress so much about this and that. You know, no one goes to see Seinfeld to be like, I hope he does the airplane bit. They're going to see Seinfeld. They want to see what he has to say. People want to hear what you have to say as a comic. And so, you know, build your material based on, is this funny? Am I connecting? Is it not funny? Why is it not funny? if it is funny, what's funny about it, so I can duplicate that and I can create more intricate premises and better punchlines. And then on top of that, realize people are going to see you. So you want to connect with them. You want to engage. And I'm not necessarily saying you don't have to do crowd work, but I'm saying engage with the audience and pull them into your material and find ways of connecting with them. That's the most important part of stand up.
Oh, hell yeah. Damn, there you go. Anyone tuning in, fucking man himself just basically kind of just
take my place. Please take my place.
But you know what though, that really that hits home even for me as a visual artist.
Mm-hmm.
Find I mean, I hate using the word just because I hear it so much, but the niche is a real thing. So like you
Sure.
figure out what is essentially your niche or the thing that you really enjoy doing, and then capitalize on that, because it is
100.
true. Like, if it, just because it worked for X amount of people, unfortunately, sometimes it might not work out for you.
That's
And I've
totally
been in
true.
that
But
position myself.
that should be inspiring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than spending your time figuring out how to do something that someone else did,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you spend time trying to figure out what works for you?
Yeah.
Rather than jump on a trend, create your own,
Yeah.
figure out the best way for you to get your connection going. That's the thing, is like we all, as a comic, you're supposed to approach, each individual crowd as separate entities.
Mm.
Crowd A can't be crowd B. How can they? They're made of two different people with different lives, different jobs, different times of day, different relationships. So if you approach them the same way, you might not connect the same way. So if that's how we approach our audiences, we should approach ourselves the same way. You're unique. You're unique. Everything about you doing comedy is inclusive to yourself and what works for you. So finding out how to get that out there, I think, is the next step. And I think that's at least for myself where I focus on. I go, all right, what's my strengths and what do I want to do with that? And what's going to work best for me.
Mm. That's what's up. You know, um, yeah, I can only imagine the feeling a comic like yourself has when when your when your joke is just killing.
It's fun.
Like I can't, like I smoke on a daily, but I imagine that high is a lot different than
Oh,
that.
it's wild, man.
The adrenaline, all of that. I mean, I get a sense of like adrenaline after
Sure.
each podcast when I have, especially if I'm having a really great time with my guest.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only correlate that, but I mean, as a comic, when you're killing the room, I mean, I can just, again, I can only imagine it's just like sky's the limit at that point.
Yeah, it's a rhythm. It's a melody. Oh, I'm getting all whitewashed here. It's it's a rhythm. The sun's starting to set, and this ring light is doing my skin no favors.
Powder? No.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is happening. I'm just watching myself look like I'm on a security camera.
I don't know, it's kind of like I'll show you the way to comedy.
No, look, when you're firing on stage, it's a whole different beast. You're in rhythm. You're so in sync with the audience. It's a song. You go, they go, you go, they go, you go, and it just goes on and on and on. And it just, I mean, it really flies by, and you're so in the zone with it. It's incredible when you can get to that level. It's incredible. And it's, that's when comedy's at its easiest. Is when you're just having fun, you're just rolling with it, and everything's flowing, everything's working for you. It doesn't happen like that all the time. And so when it does, you enjoy those moments, and you live off of that high. I did I was a comedy at the Carlson in Rochester, New York a couple months ago, and the Thursday show was like that. It was fucking unbelievable. And the only bad thing is the rest of the week wasn't. So it's just like you just had to like live in the after effect of it not being as good the rest of it. And you're like, why would you do that on Thursday and not Sunday? But you take it where you can get it. That's what you work for, is those easy moments. You know, you work through the shit to get to the good part. In every sense, stand up is like Shawshank. It's how long are you willing to crawl through shit to get to the other side?
Yeah, and that's the thing, because surely the reward is grand. Like, I mean, you witness it when you see fucking like Bert Kreischer out there, you know, any of those big names, right? But damn, you think about the fucking shit they had to eat to get there.
Years and
You know,
years
like,
and
would you really
years.
put yourself in that position? So when people are like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm funny, I'm this and that," like, again, now that I get to listen to all these comics talk about all the adversities, as well as the you know, the rewards, but then really hearing the dark shit, which you know, we all love that. We love documentaries, right? But yeah, it is truly a respective art form, because it's one of those art forms that you do, like, it's very evident when a comic is getting better with their bits, especially when they're working it out. You know, that's why people fucking hate it when, you know, new bits are put out there, right? That whole thing with Louis, especially after the whole shit.
Shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, so it's just like, you know, and it's sad, right? Because I said earlier, I've always been a fan of comedy, but I've never really put myself at a you know, at a show. I never really gone out there to really be in that space, and you know, really didn't start till Sandman, honestly.
It's a great club.
You did like it there?
I love that club.
Okay.
I'm actually headlining there. When is it? November 25th and 26th, I believe.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be back for a full weekend there. Yeah, November 25th and 26th, I'll be at Sandman.
Right.
It's a great club. Honestly, it's a great club. Very passionate owner, which is nice to see. You know, comedy can get corporate sometimes with the clubs, and it's viewed as numbers and figures, and he really gives a shit about comedy.
That's
and
awesome.
And it was really, really fun performing there, and I'm excited to come back.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. You know, I mean, again, like, I really didn't start going to shows until we moved here. And I'm glad I did, because hey, you know, I got to meet you. I got to also meet Annie, which was interesting, because you know, she's LA comic, right? So how did that work out? Like, how did
she goes back and forth. So her and I worked together at the Hartford Funny Bone in Connecticut one time, and then I met her in New York. She'd been going back and forth between LA and New York. She's from Philly, so she's an East Coaster.
Oh, you know what? Okay, that's so funny.
Yeah,
I went. Yeah, that's where I went to college. I went.
Got it. Yeah. So she's a Philly girl. So then she moved out to LA and really started hitting it. Rightfully so. She's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And she does it right. She knows what she's doing. She's very funny, very hard worker. And that weekend was funny because we didn't even plan to work together. I had an agency just hit me up saying it's like an agency I work with in New York sometimes. And they're like, hey, we have the weekend. Do you want to open for Annie Letterman? And I already knew her. And I was open that weekend, and you know, anything going out on the road post pandemic, it's nice to just get back out into rhythm. So I was like, oh fuck yeah. So I drove down, and then she didn't even know I was on the show. So when I got there, she was like, holy shit, I didn't even know you were going to be here. So it was actually a fun weekend. It was like, you know, we got to reconnect and hang the whole weekend. So that was good. That's like one of the pleasant things of stand up. Is sometimes you'll work with someone that you worked with a long time ago, and then you know, you catch up and hang, and it was a fun time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've been like such a dork. Like, other comics that I follow, I've been trying to drive them towards this direction, because I mean, I don't know. You know, seeing the names that Sandman's been bringing in. Plus, you know, they have the Richmond Funny Bone as well, which I've been meaning to check out. but I've been just
I'll
kind of
tell you. Look, I've done that Richmond Funny Bone. It's good, but I'm sorry. The one in Short Pump.
yeah. I was gonna say there is another one too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did the one in Short Pump, but
Richmond
I'll
just got. I think it got reworked. Like
got it.
they had some stuff done recently because of COVID and
Yeah. I think we're talking about the same club actually. But and look, I love the funny. I love performing at the funny ones. But I'm telling you, if you are in Richmond, check out at least or switch every other weekend, whatever you want to do.
yeah,
But make sure you check out Sandman Comedy Club.
yeah, for sure.
It's a great
Absolutely.
time, and I love Richmond. It was fun, dude. I
Yeah.
thought I said it on stage. I heard Richmond, Virginia. And I thought it was like Virginia, and then I got there and I was like, oh, this is fucking fun. I was like, okay,
It's a very artsy
it
community
is
for sure, and that's why that's how we ended up here.
totally. Oh my god, I'm like blaring out of. It's
Okay, the Holy Father is blessed.
yeah, I'm being raptured in front of you as the sun sets.
Oh man, but no, it's crazy how I don't know. It's like stand up is weird because like it's like you're I hate saying famous, but there is like this sort of level of fame or popularity. And then you find out like, everyone is connected no matter what the level of
Oh
fame,
sure.
you know what I mean? So like, you've known Annie Letterman, to whom a lot of people, especially people who are fans of Trash Tuesdays, they're probably like, oh shit, like,
Right.
like that whole like 6 degrees of like connection.
It's a big industry that everyone wants to be a part of, but it's when you are a working comic, it's smaller than you think it would be. And that's the thing is like, everyone wants to be a comic, but not everyone can put in the work and the years that it takes to get to a good level, so that when you do, we all kind of know each other in one way or another. It's like, I mean, I've had three of my, almost best friend comics be on Rogan the last, month. So it's like, it's a big web. Everyone knows each other. You get to work with everyone from absolute legends to, newcomers and so on and so forth. That's the beauty of stand up, is like, it all goes back to the live show. No matter what size you are, you all, everyone goes back to the club and everyone goes to do the same thing when you're a true comic. So it's a cool thing to get to be a part of, especially from wanting to do it from such an early age. It's fun to be at the level where you know what you're doing, you're having fun doing it, you're making a living, and it's like, I don't know, you're kind of living that dream.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I've had the pleasure of seeing Sam Morril
Oh yeah,
as
Sam's a good
Sandman
dude.
as well, and I was, again, knowing your New York comic, wondering like, yeah, you must have had run-ins with him at least.
Oh, I've known Sam for years.
Mark as well, I imagine.
I've
Like, I don't want to
had
make these assumptions, but again, like you said, there is like, the community is rather tight.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Mark was on my podcast. I see him whenever he's in the city. I run into him. Yeah, I've known Sam for years. We all just kind of know each other. So it's funny when you get out into the road and people are like, "Oh my god, do you know this person or this person?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, no, we've seen each other, move up in the industry and up and up and up and up till, they're like the next in line to be the big names." And it's funny to see that happen, because it's all people that we've all known for years and known each other. So yeah, it's cool to watch that progression happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I don't know. In a way, I'm in the hopes of trying to do something like that with an art community. I'm like trying to get familiar with the people around here and just kind of
Right.
like, yeah, just kind of build some, just bond with like other like-minded creatives. What's what I try to do for the podcast. Even though I'm a visual illustrator and you're a comic, but there are these very key elements to um, to this craft that I think align with each other.
Absolutely.
And yeah, man, again, like it's stand up is truly an art form. How do you like write your material? Do you do it old school in a notebook or
No, I don't write anything down.
no?
Now if I write anything down, I get over scripted. I'll come up with either a good idea for a joke or the funny part of the joke. And then so if I come up with the punchline first, I'll work backwards to a good premise, and if I come up with a good premise, I'll work it out on stage to a good punchline. But I know the points I want to hit, and I know what's funny about what I want to hit, and then I let myself get there on stage and kind of write it and fine tune it every time I go up. It's like chipping away more and more.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Huh. I'm like trying to put it in animation terms in my head because,
Right.
in a sense, because I used to do frame by frame animation, like old school, and in a sense, that's kind of how we would start any animation, where we would have from point A to point C. You have your 2 points, and then you build from. Then you add the middle key point, and then you start filling in these keyframes.
Right. Right.
That's kind of, I mean, we're adding keyframes, but in your sense, you're taking out the fat to make it tighter.
100%.
But I
Yeah.
mean, even still, you're coming up with like one end point to the other, and then you work your way through the middle.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Like when I hear myself explain it, I sound like a dork, but I don't know. I kind of it's
No,
fascinating.
no, no. You get it. You get it. You're on the level there. You get it.
All right, I didn't want to lose you there. Like,
No, no. You're all good.
talking about? I do want to say, and I'm not trying to sound boastful, but there was like a joke I wrote after the Oscar slap, and I
Hilarious.
did find I felt I did find feel proud because people were sharing it on Facebook, and like that never happens.
Tell
Usually, when
me.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to say shit, I'm usually offending people. But and it was like a corny joke. I wrote I was like, oh, we should just send Will to Ukraine because when there's a will, there's a way.
That's
And
hilarious.
people thought, but yeah, people were sharing. I'm like, oh, huh. And it's just it makes me wonder, like, can anybody, can almost anybody be a comic as long as they put in the work?
If they're funny and they put in the work, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Being funny is I'm slowly fading away in front of you. I did not plan my lighting according to the sun setting.
It's all
Um, if you're funny and you've got a talent to be funny, whether it's interacting with people, knowing yourself, being able to write a joke, fine. You can fill in the skill. You can work out performing, you can work out writing. As long as you take the time and stay dedicated and put in the hours, you can totally do this. I mean, you really can. You have to be funny. But if you have that going on, you've got a talent, you can cultivate your talent into the skill of stand up. I truly believe that.
nice. There you have it. Yeah, and I do want to clarify, especially if any of my friends happen to catch this, I'm not thinking about pursuing stand up. Like I do feel like I have funny moments, but I do not have the balls to fucking even do a minute. Like I've been hooked on Kill Tony,
Hmm.
and all the power to the people that sign up and get called up and stand up and try it. I mean, especially the people that bomb, that do it for the first
Right, right,
time.
right, right.
Like I can yeah, man. I don't know. I have stage fright. So
And
ah,
the more you do anything,
I
the more
imagine.
natural it feels.
I imagine that, but I don't know. I think it's just the visibly I'm like, I'll start fucking sweating bullets.
Oh,
It's
sure, sure. But you get
gross.
used to that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Still. I don't want my friends thinking I'm gonna try this shit. I don't have the balls to do it. Um, the one last thing I want to ask you, and we'll bring this thing home, is that being a comic, right? And being the funny one, even with like just your core group of friends,
Mhm.
do you always feel like you always have to be on, like always got to be funny?
No,
Yeah.
no. I actually, the more I do stand up, the less I want to talk off stage.
Mm.
I used to be the center of attention. I used to be the party guy in college. And then I started doing stand up and I got all of the attention that I biologically need for whatever reason. And
Mm.
I I love my career. I love doing stand-up, but I also love leaving and going home to my family. That's fully who I am. I don't have to be the funniest. I'll have a joke, whatever. I'll be myself. I'll be the type of person I am, but I'm not that guy that's got to be the loudest in the room. It's just I don't know. It's just never early on, yeah, but once I started doing stand up, all of that, everything died inside of me. That's my answer.
But see, it's so funny that you're saying that, because like there is like that switch, that even moments where you are just being sincere, and you're being genuine, like just right now, but then there's like that quick of like
you gotta leave with something. when you're on a podcast, you gotta have a funny note. I can't just be like, and I like to go home to my family, and please don't talk to me off stage. No, I'm dead inside. That's all it is.
That's true. I appreciate your consideration of that, because I've had multiple podcasts with fellow artists that because at the end of the day, the goal is to inspire the aspiring artist, whatever craft they choose, right? But at the end of the day, the goal is to inspire them, even though we're sharing these hard times that we personally go through. God forbid if it's like anything truly tragic and devastating, that they don't have to go through it too. But like shit's gonna, you're gonna run into some shit anyway. But I always want to inspire. But I've had sessions where it's like like ironically, I had my brother on for my 100th episode, and my oldest brother, he's an animator, special effects designer. Like, he's worked on big titles for video games, and even TV shows. And because he's been in the business for so long, like he just knows like all like the raw, like dark side of the video game production side. So like it was kind of like I mean, jokingly, I'll say like it was like a scared straight program for getting into video game animation.
Right.
Just talking about how like the studio environments, how they're all different, and the bullying and yada yada yada. And I'm like, oh damn! I'm like, this is my hero. It's like sitting down with like Superman, and like hearing all the fucking lives that died during all his like city battles and shit.
Sure. Yeah. So like, funny.
Oh, damn. It's like, damn, Super, I don't want to like talk about that. But I mean, it's still an eye opener, and I mean, it's all coming from experience.
Totally.
But that being said, I appreciate you taking the time.
All good, man.
You are a busy man. You're doing your thing, and you have been killing it with the podcast, which is called Just Joking.
Correct.
Is that available on all podcast platforms?
It is. You can get that on all podcast platforms. Just Joking.
All right. But you do like video clips, but you don't actually do full video content.
Correct. We might be adding it in soon. I wanted it as an old school audio podcast, just comics being comics when I started, but there is a growing demand for video, so that might be in the works in the future. I've got I've got some things in the fire with that are going on right now, so it might be incorporated sooner rather than later. We're figuring that part out.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
I look forward to it, man. I'll have to mark it in my calendar for your return to.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me, dude. I'll be at Sandman Comedy Club November 25th and 26th. So after you're tired of being with your family, come see some comedy. That'll be good. And then you can follow me at Kevin Dombrowski on all my social media. I've got a link tree in all of my bios. It's got all my social, my podcast, my album, and my tour dates. So you can check that out, which I update weekly. And when you see me, you'll be able to actually see me live, as opposed to this room that just looks like I'm running out of power because I don't want to get up and turn on the lights and interrupt what's happening. So I like the transformation. It started. It was very bright. It was very good. And then we got into the final minutes here, and the sun is setting.
Yeah, it's quite poetic, I would say. Everyone tuning in right now, thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in and listening to our conversation. I had a great time.
Same here,
And
pal.
I look, hey man, if there's an opening anytime in the future, if you want to do some plugs, whatever, I mean, anytime. I do this sincerely to really connect with other creatives.
Sure.
That's why I'm very thankful of your time, because you're a comic doing your thing, and I'm just kind of like this like artist at home, like just trying to build something.
Yeah. I'd love to come back on, man. We'll make it happen.
Awesome. Well, yeah, man. Awesome. And so everyone, thanks again for tuning in. Be safe out there, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.